Hey friends, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I am about to get started touching up yet again. Now understand, I really prefer to finish plein air paintings on plein air. I prefer to finish them out in the open air on the spot, but well, one excuse might be it's 30 by 40. Is that right? So it takes a little longer, but I've just had a lot of distractions. So here I am, and I know you're getting a terrible glare. If I turn that off, well, maybe I can paint for a minute that way. But I want you to see this next step in my process, which is, no, I can't paint with that, sorry. So, uh-oh. That's funny. Did I do something? Oh, that's crazy. Ha! Okay, I guess I'll be painting without it. I want you to see me, again, hitting a painting on the second, or in this case, the third day. Every time that I have the opportunity, or in this case, the need to approach a painting for a second day, my process is almost always the same. And that is, I get to do more glazing. Again, sorry I have to define this, but many people glaze from the same word for glass. Clear, transparent, like it's pure stained glass window, or like cellophane. Not, there you go, okay? Okay, now, what glazes am I going to do? The answer is any glazes. I'm using the term plural so as not to make you think that I have to do the whole thing in one color. Okay, so it's right now at the moment, actually, I'm doing perfectly transparent, clear liquid. Now, I've just been watching one of my painting friends. He doesn't know me, but I know him. Mark Carder. It's C-A-R-D with a D. Mark Carder. I really like Mark Carder. He's way more famous than I am. Makes way more money than I do. Kudos to him. At the, what's the word? In honor of full disclosure, do I think he's a better painter? This is really risky. Do I think he's a better artist than I am? Artist, no. Oil painter, yes. Artist? Now, it doesn't matter. It's not about comparing. But some of you, I had one of my slightly trollish followers a couple of weeks ago after I had talked to, said all kinds of nice things about Mark Carter. He came back and said, well, he makes $75,000 for every one of his paintings. Kind of, how much do you make? Well, I don't make anywhere near that. Anywhere near. So everybody's life and journey, and everybody's journey is different, right? I really respect Mark a lot, and no doubt by just saying anything in comparison, I'm inviting more trollish comments. But I really enjoy him, but I really don't want to be him. Does that make sense? Oh, there, we got light again. I really do enjoy him. He's a very droll fellow. I'm being kind. He did not win Miss Congeniality in the Hawaii, because he spent much of his life in Hawaii, in the Hawaii beauty competition. And again, I'm picking on him. I would love to sit down. I really do enjoy him very much, but we are nothing alike. And I've said on several occasions here that I think if you were to watch, no doubt, me, Proko, P-R-O-K-O, me, Proko, and Mark Carter, you might get a pretty good education about how to paint. Enough of that. I was watching him, and he's got me all concerned, as I should be, about the health effects of plastering an entire canvas with liquid, which liquid is odoriferous. It does have bad smell. That means it's not good for you. Anything you can smell, you get that, when you smell that petroleum distillates kind of smell, then you know it's not good for you. So I've got the central air going in my apartment, in my upstairs studio. I have a ceiling fan on, and I have a window unit, so it's a little bit noisy in here, more noisy than normal. But I thought, just since I'm all freshly aware, because I just watched one of his videos last night about health effects and so forth of various kinds of paint. So I'm all freshly aware of it, and frankly, I'll pass that on to you. Anyway, the point is, I like Mark Carter, and he says some really good stuff about health. Now, so why did I just do transparent? The reason is there are parts of this painting that I don't think I want any color on, but I do want a uniform shininess. And that's one of the things that liquid is good for, is it's glossy. I like gloss. So now my entire canvas is equally glossy. Now, let's get on with that's not called a glaze, by the way. If there's no color, that's not glaze, in my opinion. Okay, now, I am going to do some color right now. And the good question is, Smarty Pants Dan Nelson, who has the nerve to compare himself to Mark Carter? What color are you going to do? Glad you asked that question. Again, any color I want. Now, this wall of this building is, for me, this is not the focal point. This is the focal point. Dark light, maybe here, dark light, secondary over here, because it's way off to the side. But it's not the focal point, but I feel like the key, beautiful part, not good language, the salient factor, which means salty factor, go figure. The real zinger is this wall. Let me zoom in and turn my light off again so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so just temporarily. I hope it'll come back on this time. And you're still getting quite a bit of glare there from the light behind me. But all these intricate colors, orange, pink, fuchsia, phthalo blue, green, gold, mauve, orange again. Yeah, my light's going to do that funky thing and not come on for a while. But what I would like, though, is for this entire wall to be keeping all the colors that are there, but I'm going to just blue them all. Did you get that? This verb, blue them, and not blow them, blue them. I'm going to make them all slightly bluer by doing a very, very faint ultramarine and phthalo blue. So it's very close to a cobalt blue, but very transparent over that whole wall, because I want it just slightly darker than it is. Likewise over here, I want this slightly darker. Now, want some of the shade areas down here. Likewise, want them slightly darker and slightly. Did I say slightly enough yet? Slightly cooler. So I'm using a blue. Not a brown, but a blue. And one of the things I like about my technique, and especially when you come to a painting on a second, or in this case a third day, is the amount of super fine control I have over the product, over what the painting is looking like. Super control, and yet I'm not painting in that typical, what I call tongue painting. I'm not painting in that super controlled tongue painting manner. So I'm not getting myself into trouble by over control, and yet I have an extraordinary degree of control. It's like I don't know if you operate Photoshop or something like that. It's like a computer program where you can just take the slider and go and move things just a tiny bit. Do you like that sound? And move things just a tiny bit and achieve the exact, in this case, the exact color and the exact value that you want. Again, achieve that high degree of control without turning into a control freak. So I've got pure ultramarine now on these brushes. And if you watched me last week, you understand this is the second time that I've glazed this entire painting. Second time. How many more times could a person do this? There's no telling. You could go on and on and on. Of course, now I'm not finished. Anytime you make the canvas, a painting darker, that's just a wind-up. So I just made the whole thing darker. That means I get to follow through here, follow through at this point with some lighter stuff, with the lightning, because you always, darks first, light last. You always finish with light. I've got this dome up here that I want to make just a little bit more rounded. Okay. I think that's good enough. I am going to clean these brushes downstairs later. One of the nice things about these cheap brushes is they're so cheap. You know, if you buy them at a hardware store in a big box, they're sometimes as little as 30 cents a piece. But I don't want to waste them, so I will clean them. Okay, now next thing. Let's do some, if I put blue on anything that I'd like to be lighter again, and I did right over here. I want these sky holes. As you know, the unfortunately named sky holes. Why is it unfortunate? Because what are they here? They're not. Those are called building holes. Right? Anything else? Yep. I covered right over these two figures, which look kind of like women. So I want those to stand out a little bit more. And then some of where the sun is speckling, where the sun is, what's the word? Speckling? No, sun. I'm forgetting the word right now. So just little bits of lightening after I've just applied that. Now, the painting is, what do I have to do yet? Oh, hang on, one more. These lanterns, these lamps. You probably can't even see the effect of what I'm doing right now, but I can. If you were here in person, you could see that those two lamps just got ever so slightly lighter because of my rubbing off that blue glaze. Okay, I only have a few things to do. A little bit more sparkle on these lamps, a little bit of sparkle on these two figures. And by sparkle, I just mean light opaque bits. Perhaps a little more sparkle down here on the grass. And then one thing that I really want to do is, I had that focused in the whole time. You didn't see what I was doing. I'm so sorry. Up here, though, I feel like these architectural details are just too strong. I like them red. I like the multicolored nature of them, but they're just a little dappled. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, my friend. Woo! I have friends in high places. Okay, a little bit of dappling. That's what I was doing. Now, let's go up here. I'm gonna, and again, you know what? Maybe if I can turn the whole easel a little bit. You're going to have more of an oblique angle, but maybe it'll show up better. Okay, now the task in front of me right now is to mix up a color, or colors, plural, colors that are I just realized I don't have any oxide red here, which is going to be a challenge. That's one of my favorite colors, transparent oxide red. So I'm going to mix up some colors, an opaque version of what's already up here. Now, just with a little bit of Naples yellow, burnt sienna, and white titanium, I might have gotten already pretty close to this color right here. Yep. Now, just for those of you who are taking notes, I'm trying to match the color that's here, but always just one slight tick lighter than what's already here. Does that make sense? And what you see me doing here is very, very typical of what I always do in this last step, last layer of the painting, the opaque, light opaque highlights, and that is I paint along the edges of things. I don't have to. I'm not going to take this color and cover all that up. That would be a desecration. That would be a horrible waste of this beautiful patina. Layers and layers and layers of paint have created that. So it would be horrible to come in here and cover up that by plastering. So now I'm just painting right along the edge. Now, next gets a little bit greener up here to the left of where I just put some marks down. So I'm going to pick up a little forest green or something and some phthalo blue, tiny bit of violet, and see if this is right. Yeah, close enough. Close enough. Now, I don't have to match it exactly. In fact, that would really actually, I would be losing an opportunity for variety if I matched it exactly. So it doesn't need to be exact. It just needs to be close. Close to what's already there and slightly lighter. Now, I don't know if what I've got on the brush now is anywhere close. Yeah. Yep, just more purple. Add more violet. Again, so my purpose here is simply to diminish, not to obliterate, but to carve down these architectural details. It's a little bit too strong, a little bit too punchy. Just got back from a wonderful weekend in beautiful Memphis, Tennessee, where I painted a wedding for Mary Lauren and Michael. And kind of took the last half of yesterday to recover. Today I've been working on my wedding painting website all day. Basically raised my wedding painter prices, something I've been planning to do for months and months. Finally got around to do it. So as of today, my prices are noticeably higher than they were just last week. Nice to be able to do that. Okay, this is a little bit too detailed to be much fun for you guys to watch, I'm afraid. So I don't want to continue for a long time because what I'm doing is just so subtle. A little bit more. By the way, some of you might wonder, how do I decide which hand to paint with? That is a very good question. And I'm still very much right-handed. So if I get tired or lazy, I find myself, invariably, painting too much with my right hand. And anytime I find I'm painting too much with my right hand, I seriously question whether I am painting well, high quality or not. And for that reason, most often, anytime I think about it, I switch to my left hand. Pretty much anytime I think about, which hand am I painting with? Oh, it's my right hand, let's better switch. And the reason is, it's hard to describe. My brain feels different when I paint with my left hand. I don't know how else to describe it. And I might be kidding myself, but I don't think I am. My brain feels different, and my hidden assumption is that anytime that I'm painting with my left hand, I'm painting well. Whereas if I'm painting with my right hand, I may or may not be painting well. It's like when I paint with my left hand, my brain I feel like I'm painting more authentic, intuitive, honest. 3 words to try to describe a feeling. Authentic, intuitive, honest. And that word has been hijacked by the modern art world. When modern artists use the word honest, what they mean is grumpy, gloomy, pessimistic, and ugly. That's true. That's true. No, I'm not making that up. When the modern art world uses the term honest, his paintings are very honest. What they mean is he's depressed, pessimistic, gloomy, and ugly. Okay. Now, since I got this dull, cool gray on my brushes, I'm just taking advantage of the opportunity to do things here and there and here and there, and I should back you up so you can see what I'm doing. I'll go with you for just a few more minutes. Let me just wipe these brushes off. Let's do the sparkle on here while I'm deciding what to do next. I'm going to mix up a very, very pale green, pale, cool green, because these lampposts are green, of course. And I just want to add just a tiny bit of, in this case, it's almost literal sparkle, but I use that term. I will use that term if I'm doing the same thing on grass, for instance. I would still use the word sparkle. But here in this case, I actually am painting something sort of shiny and reflective. Okay, maybe a little bit on this figure down here. Make this a little darker and bluer, because I feel like I want to define this person's legs with some lighter, duller blue. A little bit of blue here in this lamp, that would be nice. There too. Okay, change color. A little jar of brushes just fell over halfway. Speaking of Mark Carter, I'm a fan, and he's a fascinating guy. Part of his journey, part of his story is he discovered that he found a way to teach, that he could teach non-artists to paint. And if you go to his website, drawmixpaint.com, by the way, and he says, it doesn't take any special talent. Anybody can learn how to do it. He's one of those. He's one of those that says that. And I have, over the years, very seriously considered whether that is the correct or honest position. Can anybody learn how to do this? And I contend from the negative. That is to say, could I learn how to become, say, a CPA, a certified public, a bean counter, certified public accountant? And the answer is, I guess theoretically, yeah. I mean, I know about numbers. I know how they add and subtract, and I used to know about sine and cosine and all that kind of craziness. I used to. I've forgotten it all now. I don't know what it means at all. But I'm sure I could learn it again. So, do I have the gift mix to become an accountant? According to Mark Carter, anybody can learn to do anything. And there's a degree of truth in that. But no, I feel like it's a, as I like to say, a raisin of water, a raisin of truth inside a watermelon of folly. There are many things in life that fit that category. Sure, there's a grain of truth there. But no, I could not become a certified public accountant because I absolutely know that I don't have the personality type for it. It would, sure, as I jokingly say sometimes, if I die and go to hell, I'll be a CPA. You understand? It's like, oh no, I must have done something wrong. I'm speaking theologically in complete jest, but you get the point, right? No, you know, can anybody learn to do anything? The answer is no. So can anybody learn to do what I do? My answer, therefore, is no. And yet Mark Carter says, oh, yes, 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 you can. And the funny part is, and I'm just rambling right now, just for fun. I mean, again, I like him. He's a fun, fascinating character. Once you bore down into his technique and realize how he teaches and how he paints and how he teaches other people to paint, you look at it and go, well, golly, I guess anybody can learn how to do it if you do it his way. Because basically he treats the whole process very much like an accountant or like an engineer. He does extreme, in my opinion, extreme amounts of measuring. Extreme amounts of measuring. Not just measuring left-right, but measuring a color matching, for instance. He's got a it's wonderful. And some of you need to paint like him. But he has a very sophisticated scientific engineering way of matching color. Nothing wrong with it. He's more famous and richer than I am. Okay? But can anybody learn how to do it his way? Yes. Especially if you have a engineer's mind. You're going to love the way he teaches. I do not paint like an engineer. Don't look for me to start doing so anytime soon. So that's why I say if you watch me and Mark Carter, you get a pretty good balance of a couple different things. I am much more intuitive. I care much, much less. He's very much into accurate color. Well, you could see by this. Accurate color is one of the least of my concerns. And does that mean I can't do it? No, I can do accurate color. Have done it. We'll do it again for fun. But no, I'm after, I don't know what the word is, striking color, evocative color. I don't mean evoking a particular emotion. I mean evoking a visual response. Purely visual. Purely visual response. So right now I'm adding a little bit of sparkle to the grass, as I suggested earlier that I might do. So in this case, there's no way grass sparkles unless it's got dew on it. And I'm not painting dew. I'm just painting the dappled sun on the grass. But by adding little bits of light, sparkle's a good word for it. Final touches of light. Very, very dangerous because by doing this you could actually easily slip into dotification. We've talked about that before here. Dotification. And if you get into dotification, then you sure as heck have to pull out the process that we now call de-dotification. And you can figure out what that means just by breaking that apart. De-dotification. And another word for what I'm doing right now, a very different word is I'm very selectively adding energy to areas, very select areas. Right now, the dots I added there added energy. Our eyes go there a little bit more, go here a little bit more. Anytime you put down marks, high energy marks are marks that are intense in color, intense in value, dark or light, and have hard edges. Let me say that again. High energy marks, color, light, dark value, and edges. And I'm doing all three right now. The marks that I'm putting down right now are definitely this is a very bright green. So it's color, and it's very light in value, and they tending to be somewhat hard edged. And that last one is the one I'm trying to be very careful not to do too much of. Otherwise, I experience the dreaded curse of dotification. Got it? Watch out for that dotification stuff. But this light green though might be another a little bit more highlights on these lamp posts. I don't know if you were here when I was painting these lamps last week, but I used them to talk about this principle that I say, one of the breakable laws of painting, but you got to know the law. If you don't know it, you're probably just screwing up. Here's one of the laws. Anytime that you're painting long, skinny objects, shapes, marks, be careful not to make your hand move in a direction consonant or consistent with that long, skinny mark. Instead, make your hand go perpendicular to the prevailing direction of that mark. And now in this case, why? In particular, because I want it to look like this, again, like it's sun speckling. Using that word again, the wrong word again. I want it to look like the sun is just hitting those lampposts in certain places. Since I got some brighter green on here, I think it'd be a nice variation. Makes me think again, an analogy or a little example I use often. How does a beginner painter paint, or a child paint a pumpkin? Easy. Brush, orange paint, pumpkin. That's easy, right? That's how beginners paint pumpkins. How does an experienced painter paint, in this case, paint a green dome? The answer is red, yellow, black, white, blue, green, purple, violet, fuchsia. Every color in the rainbow, so to speak, goes into the green dome. In the final analysis, the dome, and yes, in fact, looks greenish, but we don't get there by dipping our paint smack dab into a pile of green paint. We sneak up on green by using a whole bunch of different colors. Right now I've got blue, a little bit of phthalo blue on my brushes. I want to shape up carve up the shape of this dome and also soften the edge of it. I do not want a hard edge here. It's not a place for a hard edge, because I want it to look like the sun is really, really blasting on that. Verdigris, I think is the word. Now I've got some almost pure white on my brush for the final touch and a little bit of fuzz where the sun is hitting the top of this dome in its most intense point. There, that's looking nice. Yeah. Okay. Oh, before we go, I can do one more thing, and that is these people, these characters way down here in the front. They need some sparkle on their faces. So I'm mixing up a very pale tan, brown, beige. And you could say to me, well, how do you know they're white people? Yeah, well, in today's ridiculously paranoid culture, right, I do have to make sure about things. And I do. I generally speaking, am pretty careful about racially balanced skin tones in my paintings. But I don't want to take that too far. Like every silly commercial on TV has to take it to extreme degrees. If they show a family, right, a toothpaste commercial, if they show a family, the family has to have one white person, one Hispanic, one Asian, and one black person. That, my friends, is a sign of a sick culture. That's actually the sign of a hypersensitive, stupid culture trying to pretend that it's not racist. So the toothpaste company has to have every race in this quote-unquote family. Okay, I'm getting a little political, philosophical. I do not buy into such silliness. It is silly. And I will say, for all practical purposes, I have not honestly, I used to be all more humble. No, I'm not so humble. I do not have a racist bone in my body. Okay, I'm going to call that good enough. After I hang up with you, or maybe not. I'll just look at this painting with fresh eyes tomorrow, and I'll probably declare myself finished. But you never know. I might look at it and go, wait a minute, here's an opportunity that I'm missing. Like, here's one right here. I'm going to mix up a fairly, no, that's not the word, an orange, but not too intense orange. Because I see an opportunity, it needs to be redder than that. I see an opportunity for some fun play of light. This dark tree, lots of light coming off this side of the building, right? So, just a little bit of reflection. We don't usually think of tree trunks reflecting the light. Let me see if I see any hint of it. It's a photograph. Not really. Maybe almost. Almost is good enough. Doesn't matter. I'm not copying that, but just a little bit. Before I go, this is a good opportunity to describe. I say, if you watch me, you've heard me say many times, the most important aspect of a painting is play of light. Got it? Play of light, most important aspect. And then I sometimes come up with a whole list of words for what does play of light mean. Behold, what light from yonder window doth break. What does play of light mean? And one of the best words you can come up with is reflection. Now, every non-artist on the planet can see the sun hitting the side of this building. Everybody can see that. What it takes an artist to not only to see, but then to convey, to communicate, to pass on to other people is what, in this case, how that light bounces off this tree. So a secondary light reflection, and etc., and add that any number of iterations of that bouncing. That's play of light, is light. That's just one word, light bouncing. And that's a big part of what we do as artists, is show bouncing light. Light streaking, light slicing, light glancing, light piercing, All of these are words that you could use to convey light shearing, light rounding, light bouncing, reflecting, exploding is one of my favorite words. I often use the idea of light, of sunlight exploding off a bright surface. So those are just some synonyms, some words for what does play of light really mean. And when I did this orange on the back side of this tree, that was just a classic example, I think, of what playing light, to use that term, light playing, play of light. Classic example of what that looks like. Now I'm driving myself crazy. I've only got one brush, so I'm painting with one hand, and yes, it starts to irritate me after a while. And I suspect that I'm not painting too well if I do that too much. Okay, let me show you this painting straight on and see if I can get some of the glare off it so that you can see it. Hang on, let me turn off some more lights and see if I get more glare off. How's that look now? Yeah, not too bad. It's a dimmer, duller, darker than it is in real life, so we'll let it go at that. I will post a still version of the painting, a still photograph of the painting when I'm done. I think I'm done. I will sign it right now, and hope to see you again maybe tomorrow or the next day. Not sure what I'm doing tomorrow. Hopefully some artwork. Today was all business until now. Thanks so much for following me. I'll talk to you again soon.